Elvis, and then the other guy, the husband, was married and now they have a kid. He's the guitar player, and then they have a backup who got a banjo, a bass, drum. It's not a big group.
I guess they were here to church venues.
Like to have the Hebrew words for Hine Matov. We're on bracketed page 128. And the English words you don't have in front of you, but that's okay. And I'll just note that this particular Hine Matov was written by Nefesh Mountain, who are this awesome Jewish Americana bluegrass group. And they are going to be on this bima on February 7th, which is Shabbat Shira this year. It's going to be so cool. We were supposed to have them they had them for Shabbat Shira in 2021 when everything was still very much on Zoom. And they're really awesome. And they are independently in the whole bluegrass world outside of Jewish music too. Nefesh Mountain, you should look them up. But if not, anyway, they're going to be here. You do want to come, I promise. It's going to be a very cool evening. And so while we're singing, you can be excited about singing with them next month. Page 128. Back on the same page, literally.
I'm sorry. I was giving them a turn. No? You ready for me now?
I don't know what's going on.
What's happening today?
This is why we have Kabbalat Shabbat.
We
Kabbalat
practice.
Shabbat is this part of the service where we're trying to let go of the craziness of the week and head into Shabbat. We're doing it in real time. It's happening. Of the craziness of the week that we can let go of, right? From the very beginning. We're going to try it again. 1, 2, 3. Shabbat shalom. So what's your buzzing that is, making you feel like you're starting on the wrong measure, which I feel like is a good metaphor for the way that we feel off sometimes, or we miss our cues, or things feel out of whack, right? And this opening part of Shabbat services is always here for us to notice that, to not judge it, and to take a breath of forgiveness and love and whatever else that we need for ourselves as we head into this break of this gift of time, right? That is pretty hard to settle into, actually, for many of us. So take a breath. And notice whatever it is that's sitting on your shoulders. We are on bracketed page 142. This Kabbalistic poem where we welcome the angels around us, maybe to remind us to sort of settle and to take a breath and to be in these moments of Shabbat. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharim, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bohem Hashalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Page 120 to light our Shabbat candles. We invite Louis and Suzanne and Abby and Julia, and we're all gonna find our way over to this ramp to walk up to our candles. Page 120.
Goodness and mercy
So I'll note as we're lighting these candles, and Suzanne said, "Oh, it's real fire." I said, "Yeah, it's real fire." And it made me think about, again, the fires in Los Angeles. One of my colleagues, who's a rabbi in LA, and sort of keeping the rest of us and his community updated about what was happening in their community. Their synagogue building is safe, but many people in the congregation have certainly been evacuated and have also lost homes. And of course, there were, like there is for Abby, sorry, honey, a bar mitzvah scheduled for this Shabbat. And so he wrote about, where they were moving everything to so that the bar mitzvah family and child in that congregation could celebrate, he said, with joy and resilience. So these are all these moments as we're here, we feel, we're sad, we're worried, we're not there. And these moments of connection and just sort of checking in with our friends and our family all over the country in this case, and imagining, what synagogue communities are feeling like in the Los Angeles area in particular this Friday night. We're going to also, while we do that, this is like a very Jewish value, right? To be worried or to be upset and also to celebrate. These are things that we are taught to do together, right? That we very rarely get to put one thing in a container and only do that one thing. That life is often sort of a mix of the worry and the happy and the sad and the, all that stuff. So we're going to do what we're taught to do, which is to share blessings before we offer kiddush. We imagine, if you're new to Barner, we have this custom of imagining that this cup holds grape juice, right? And the juice is the thing that we say the blessing over first, but the blessing is really over Shabbat. The whole rest of that blessing is about Shabbat. So we use the juice to sanctify the holy day. It's really like a vehicle for us. So we imagine that we can put like more in this cup to sanctify the day even more. And the more we put in are our blessings, the good stuff that's happening to us in our lives. So this is where you get to share awesome things, or at least like decent things. They don't have to be awesome if that's too big an ask. Jill Gordon has some news.
My daughter Rebecca had a beautiful baby boy last month.
Wait. You have to hear. Okay, I'll repeat for the microphone. Rebecca Layton had a beautiful baby boy, and his name is, I won't say it first. Irving Saul. I am really here for all of the names, the generational names coming back again. I cannot wait for baby Irv, to meet baby Irv. I mean, he already exists, but I'm so excited to snuggle him one day. Mazel tov to you and to Rebecca and to everyone. So glad everyone's good. Okay, your news doesn't have to be as good as a grandson, excuse me. It could just be something that's like fine in your life. Aviva.
I have
A new great-grandson.
My
It's
number one
a-
nephew had a second child.
Ah, great-grand-nephew, not great-grandson. I was like, that is impressive. Okay, a great-grandnephew, Mazel Tov. Wonderful. Jane.
My older grandson announced to us that he's graduating Stevens Institute in May, and he said, "Oh, and I got a job," and he's moving to Wisconsin.
Okay.
So that was
There are some cool cities to visit in Wisconsin.
Madison.
Madison's a great city. Jane's going to be taking a lot of trips to Madison. I know. But your grandson has a job. Yes. We'll just focus on that part. Lewis.
I am a University of Wisconsin-Madison alum.
Look at that.
My good news is that my daughter's getting bat mitzvah.
Yeah, your daughter is about to become a bat mitzvah this Shabbat. That is good news. That's our good news, too. Yeah. Mazel tov. The Gellers have a new nephew. Well, I mean, yeah, Ruth and Andy. And you guys have a cousin. I don't know. I don't do removed and cousins and levels, but yay, family. A lot of baby things happening in the sanctuary. Are there any like non-baby related good things happening? Okay, I'll add that the new sanctuary band is playing. We love our new sanctuary band. We loved our band before. They had their cool spiffy new name too, but now they have this spiffy new name. And they're all dressed in a cool spiffy uniform. And Most importantly, they sound awesome, and most importantly, they're all really excellent humans who are dedicated to the elevation of worship here at the Barnard Temple. They're all temple members, so that makes our services even more fun. Okay, Rebecca, what were you going to say?
So, not nearly as impressive.
Okay.
We closed some very significant business this week for my new company, and so we're
Yay, business accomplishments. Wonderful. Okay, so if you are sitting on something, like not literally, hopefully you're not sitting on anything, but if you have some great things or at least good things that you didn't work up the courage to share here, hopefully you at least know what they are for sharing purposes with somebody else. And I say this every week, if this was a difficult exercise for you, like if it's hard to focus on one thing, then consider yourself invited by me to try to name one thing at least once a week. That's good, right? Because it's hard to stop and see a thing or to notice it. Okay, Abby, what's up? All right, cool. These gifts are from the Men's Club and the Sisterhood here at the Barnard Temple. In this bag, as you know, is a Chanukiah and a Kiddush cup. We give you these ritual items. In part, we give you ritual items because we want you to start to build this like library of ritual stuff you're going to use through your life, right? The Chanukiah we hope you will use to bring light in dark times, and the Kiddush cup at all kinds of holidays and celebrations, both to mark and sanctify the day, but also to maybe keep this tradition of collecting blessings from whomever you are sharing your holidays with. I think I had an extra preposition there. To elevate the day and to help teach people how to be blessing collectors. Yes, okay. So before you lead us, I know, you just want to get done. But here's what I would like to say. Because the congregation doesn't know this, if you don't know Abby, but most of the time when young people are up here, they have been schlepped along by their parents through this process. But in this case, I think Abby was really the schlepper. Would you say that's true? She was sort of the one who got you here anyway, on this particular bima, right, to find the right Jewish community and sort of helped us get to know the whole family. And for that, I want to say thank you. Abby, you came to this. When you came to this, you approached it head on and with love, and were sort of undaunted by all the things that we kept throwing in front of you, and when you were going to do Hebrew, and oh, by the way, she decided to learn Haftarah, whenever she decided, and she did it beautifully. And I hope that you continue to approach the opportunities that come before you in life with the same joy and the same calm demeanor and the same ability to succeed, because I think there's very little you won't be able to bring people along with you, to schlep us along with you for whatever you choose to do. And we're so happy you chose to do it here. So we're going to celebrate with Abby and her family tomorrow morning. But tonight, Abby's going to lead us in Kiddush, which is on bracketed page 123. Please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava uvratzon, hinhilanu, zikaron l'ma'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila, le'mikra'e kodesh, Zeher, Letziyat Mitzrayim, Kivanu Vaharta, Ve'otanu Kidashta, Mikol Ha'amim, Ve'shabbat Kodsha, Ve'ahava Uvratzom, Hinhaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
We remain standing, page 146. Yeah. page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Page 154. Please be seated. Ve'ata et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha vechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher Anochi metzavecha hayom ha'levavecha veshinantam levanecha vedibarta bam veshivtecha beveitecha uvlechtecha vaderech uvshochtecha uvkumecha ukshartam leod al yedecha vehayu letotafot beineinecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Page 158. Page 160, this prayer Hashkivenu, which is our prayer for safety at night. It is a prayer for shelter. And this week we watched shelters upon shelters upon shelters disappear with flames that were impossible to control. And so we will wait till the embers are out and help our community rebuild, and still offer prayer for thanks for life. We will mourn what is lost in shelters, whole lives, memories, everything in homes that people did not have time to take with them what was sacred to them. A reminder as we offer this prayer, as we reflect on what's sacred for us in our sacred spaces, our homes. If you have friends or family in Los Angeles and they lost their home and they have their life, to not minimize the loss that comes with that kind of loss of property, of family, of memories, right? That we can both be grateful for living and be distraught for spaces lost. And these prayers remind us both for the things for which we might be grateful and for the vulnerability that causes rabbis to write prayers to say before we go to bed at night because we're afraid, right? And we hold all of that together, and we continue to reach out to friends and families and to give to organizations that are doing work that you feel good about supporting, and to join in Jewish communities where we find all of these additional ways to build structures of safety and support when times feel fragile. Page 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Israel,
164. Please rise. Adonai, Sefatai Tiftach, Lavia Gita Hilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mivigil Livnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Mashiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, B'chayei HaKol atah, Rav le'Hoshia, Mashim Paruach u'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, B'chayei HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, U'Matir Asurim, U'Mekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, U'Midon Melach, Melech Memit U'Mechayeh, U'Matzmiach Yeshua, V'Ne'eman atah L'Hachayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol. Atah Kadosh v'Shemcha Kadosh, U'Kadoshim b'chol yom Yehalelucha Selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue privately through pages 180 and 181. You may do so seated or standing, as is your custom. Page 642, if you'd like the words. Adonai, Osem Oyitei. Adonai, Osem Oyitei. Adonai, Osem Oyitei. Adonai, Yevarech et Amo. Cole and Julia, can I ask you to help me with something? It's rhetorical. The answer is yes, of course, Rabbi Steiner. Okay, can you hand these papers out for me? That's all. It's easy. You got this. Oh, sorry. Like one per couple if people are with people. If not, I think there's 40 of them, but I really don't know. So, oh, Julia, can you get a couple to the band over here too when you do it? Great. You're going to share, yeah. That's okay. Everything's going to be fine. We have a minute. They're going to share over there, Julia. That's good. You can come over here now. Thanks, lady. She's fine with the steps. Okay. So our Torah portion this week is called Vayechi, and it is the last portion. Cole is like taking orders. 2 or 1? 2 or 1? How many do you need? Yeah, very efficient. No extra papers will be given to people. You have to just tell us. Yeah, 2 or 1. 2 or 1. You're doing great, Cole. Okay. Yep, excellent. Cole is the younger sibling of last week's bat mitzvah. So he's very comfortable right now because he spent a lot of time with me last Shabbat. Cole, I think we need some back over. Yep, you're doing great. Cool. Julia's hugging people. That wasn't the assignment. You can hug people later. Thank you, Julia. There we go. Great job. I knew I chose good helpers. Okay. Our Torah portion this week is called Vayechi. It is the very last. This is like a weird place to stand, right? Because of the speakers. Can you hear me? Okay. Because it's the very last portion in the book of Genesis. So this is like the end of the stories that include our ancestral patriarchs and matriarchs, the way we think about them, right? At the end of this week's Torah portion, first Jacob dies, and then at the very end, Joseph dies. And next week, when we open the book up again, and the scroll really, and Jonathan will meet us on the second portion of Exodus, we're sort of in the Passover story. That there's this weird time lapse. But tonight we're hanging out with some patriarchs and matriarchs. So I want to think about, whose shoulders we stand on and how we become like them, how we embody the people who shaped us. Everybody is near a sheet at this point, right? Great. Okay. So last week, in last week's Torah portion, there's this line that just reads, the sons of Asher, and it lists all these are male names, Imnah, Ishva, Ishvi, and Berea, and their sister Serach. Okay, Serach bat Asher, if you've studied with me, you know, is a figure who I adore. She's this like mystical, magical woman in the Torah who lives at all times. Like she is one of Asher's children. So remember, Jacob has 12 sons, and one of his sons is Asher. And Asher has these kids. You can see them listed here. He has 4 sons and a daughter, Serach. But Serach is alive when the families travel down from Canaan to Egypt. And then she's alive still somehow, according to the tradition, when the Israelites leave Egypt after they were slaves. Like, it's so cool. She is, no, seriously, it's in the Torah. I didn't make it up. So she is this figure of like kind of mystical connection that has taken the sort of excited attention not just of your rabbi, but of many rabbis. So she was mentioned last week, and we want to know a little bit about her. So I included this 16th century Italian midrash here for us to read. I'm going to read because I don't know where the other mics are and whatever, and then I have to pass them around, so sorry, you're listening to me. She, Serach bat Asher, is known as one who never tasted death, and also one who entered paradise alive. How? How did she get to be so special? The rabbis want to figure out because it doesn't make any sense who she is. Jacob's sons, who had sold their brother Joseph into slavery and told their father he was dead, later discovered Joseph was second only to Pharaoh in Egypt. You know this story when reading it. And the brothers now had to somehow tell Jacob that Joseph, his son and their brother, by the way, his favorite son and their brother, was still alive. Afraid of breaking this news to their elderly father too suddenly, they decided to employ Asher's daughter Serach, since she knew how to play the harp in a soothing manner. At their instigation, she sat near Jacob while he was deep in prayer and sang repeatedly, "Joseph, my uncle, is alive and rules over the land of Egypt." Not only was Jacob understandably delighted with this lyric revelation, but the Spirit of God came upon him, and he knew that all she said was true. And so Jacob blessed Sarah, his granddaughter, and said to her, "My child, may death never rule over you, for you brought my spirit back to life." So this is a beautiful example of a midrash that the rabbis write to try to understand how it could be that this woman never dies. Okay? Beautiful. Why? Because actually the text around what happens when Jacob is told that Joseph is still alive, the text around this is quite jarring. Jacob has already mourned his son. And then he finds out that Joseph is still alive, and it's probably filled with terror, I have to imagine, for Jacob. And the brothers anticipated that, and they put Sarah to the test, and he gives her this blessing, which could literally mean, may you never die, or may death not be like a part of a controlling of your life, right? There's so many beautiful ways to read this blessing. Okay, we could come back to that, but I just wanted you to know who Sarah is because she's going to be relevant in a moment. So this is this week's verses, this next Genesis section. Joseph says to his kin, this is at the very end of the the book of Genesis that we're in right now, "I am dying, but God will surely take care of you and bring you up to this land, the land that God has promised to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob." Joseph adjured Israel's children. So remember, Israel is also Jacob. So now he's speaking to his brothers, okay? Joseph adjured his brothers, saying, "God will surely take care of you. Bring my bones," and their children, "bring my bones up from this place." Joseph died aged 110 years. They embalmed him, and he was put in a coffin into Egypt. Okay, so Joseph dies in this week's Torah portion, as I already told you. He says to the living, "Make sure you take my bones with me when you leave Egypt." Why? Why does he want to be taken with him? Let's just start there. What is that request? Why do you think he wants to not be left there?
He feels like his spirit will be left there.
Maybe he feels like his spirit will be left there. Beautiful. Where's the rest of his family buried? Not there, right? They're home, and he wants to go home too. Even though his home, where he's living, is Egypt, but he wants to go, back, like to the cave of Machpelah, where Abraham and Sarah are, and they've already brought Jacob's body back there when he died. Okay, so Joseph dies. They embalm him, and they put him in a coffin. And then, I've already told you what happens. The Torah says 400 years pass, right? New pharaohs, new land. The Israelites become slaves in Egypt. And ultimately, they leave Egypt, right? They get freed. The 10 plagues, the story, the Passover story. And they have made a promise generationally to Joseph to bring his bones back. But how do they know where his bones are? How do they know? It's been hundreds of years. Okay, so the Talmud has an answer to that question. How did Moses know where Joseph was buried? Because the Torah says, specifically, they brought Joseph's bones. It's not just for our imaginations. It's very clear. They did it. How did they possibly know? How could Moses have possibly known where Joseph's bones were 500 years later? It doesn't make any sense, right? Serach bat Asher, look, it's right here. Serach bat Asher remained alive from that generation. Moses went to her and said, "Hey, do you know anything about where Joseph is buried? Because we kind of have to bring him with us, and we're about to go." And she said to him, "The Egyptians made him a metal casket and sank it into the Nile there." So the rabbis imagine, with Serach bat Asher's help, 500, I made that up, but approximately 500 years later, in the Nile still sits the metal casket where they bring up Joseph's bones and take them to Egypt. Back to Canaan, out of Egypt. Okay, so you could just marvel, as I do, at this story that I read every year. I love these stories, but I want to ask you a different kind of question. What was so important that Moses found Serach, or what was so important that Serach is in this story? Why does it matter? You already answered the why it matters that Joseph wanted his bones, but why does it matter that we carry these things that are important for us? I'm not asking you literally about bones this time. Another way of asking that question is, what are the details of your life or of who you are that are important that you continue to carry with you? or the details of your family's story that are important that you carry with you? And I'll say not rhetorically. Can you think of an example? Yeah. It's the family lore. It's just the stories. Can you think of anything in your personal life or that your parents said to you, don't forget, or your grandparent, or you learned that you know is part of what it means to be like you and in your family? It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be Joseph's bones. Can you think, sorry?
Facing adversity. I remember my father telling
Strength facing adversity.
Remember my father, Irving,
Yeah?
telling me about going through the Depression and losing their farm up in the Catskills.
Yeah.
His father being extremely sick.
Great. I mean, not great,
So you can deal
but
with your
right.
story.
So knowing that part of your family's story and your strength includes the ability to face adversity and terrible loss. That's a sad but beautiful story and like tremendous strength. What else? What are other stories that are like Joseph's bones for the Israelites? For you, Rebecca.
My father, instilled in us the importance of integrity over everything.
Great. Integrity over everything. That is an important part of how you were raised. I'm sure how you raised Caroline, right? As part of how you live. Beautiful. Other things that are like your family core things, the bones you can't leave behind. Yeah.
The importance of family itself.
Great.
To keep the family together.
Great.
And to do things together and to get together for holidays and get together for great moments and just be together. So.
Beautiful. Right, so Lisa said there's the importance of family and making sure we're together for holidays. And so I hope you're starting to think about the things. You don't have to share them all now, but maybe that you didn't even realize were part of your family's sort of DNA, but that are so important that you would want to make sure they didn't get left behind, right? That's what this is kind of about. What are the things we don't want to lose? We don't want to get left behind. Okay. I'm just going to read you this cool little story about Serach bat Asher because I love her, and then we're going to keep going. Rabbi Yochanan was once sitting and expounding about how the waters became like a wall for Israel at the time they miraculously passed through the sea. This is when they're leaving Egypt. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. I just think Serach bat Asher is so cool that I wanted you to hear this little story, which had split open before them to permit their exodus from Egypt. Rabbi Yochanan explained that the waters looked like a lattice. However, just at that moment, Serach bat Asher, who's still talking to the rabbis of the Talmud, looked in and said, I was there, and the waters were not like that, but rather like lighted windows. I love this connector in our tradition. And the rabbis wrote this story down. The rabbis let this woman interrupt their study session, and they recorded her answer. Okay, it's another conversation, but anyway. So here I want to ask you a question because then we're going to switch to Judah. I want to think about Serach and Judah as the traditions that we've inherited, particularly in this week, because it is Serach who's going to make sure that Joseph's bones go with the Israelites, right? Who are the Serachs in your life? Who are the people who show up, who help you remember what's important, and who you let guide you, right? Who are the people who can see things that you can't see? And how can we be like them? Maybe there are our biological ancestors, and maybe there are people we've adopted as ancestors we have learned from or we love. I'm going to leave that there for a moment. The people who remind us that things can be better. The people who remind us that the story's not over, right? Serach needs to make sure she remembers where those bones are because the story is not over when they become slaves in Egypt. Okay, this week, Judah. This is when Jacob is blessing each of his children, which is another beautiful part of the portion. Jacob says, you, Judah, your brothers, oh, sorry, that's a typo, shall heap praise on you. Your hand on the neck of your foes, your father's sons shall bow down to you. Gur Aryeh Yehudah. Judah is a lion's cub. So Pirkei Avot wants to pick up on this idea of Judah the lion, right? You know Judah the lion. That's the emblem on the whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about. Judah ben Tema said, this is from Pirkei Avot, be strong as a leopard, light as an eagle, swift as a deer, and brave as a lion when carrying out the tasks of righteousness. Brave as a lion like Judah. Okay, what do we know about Judah? Really quickly. Who is he? Is he all good? No, he's done some not nice things. What's one not nice thing Judah did? Yeah, he totally threw Joseph into a pit. Actually, he's the one who sold Joseph into slavery, right? Reuben kind of was really responsible for getting Joseph into that pit. But Judah says, there are some Midianite merchants, let's sell Joseph into slavery. Judah is like not, a squeaky clean story. By the way, nobody in the Torah is. Go Torah. Judah has a complicated relationship with his daughter-in-law, okay? That's a nice way of saying it. And Judah ultimately is the one who stands up for the youngest brother Benjamin, stands up to Joseph, and shows that he has changed, that he is sorry, that he has learned from his past mistakes. Be brave like Judah, our tradition teaches us. What does it mean to be brave like Judah? What kind of bravery is that? Yeah, Pam.
Based on what you just said, being able to admit
Beautiful.
our mistakes.
Yeah. So being brave like a lion, we think of as like, being like the king of the forest. We also have our, Wizard of Oz lion maybe there. And to be brave also means to overcome the things that we're afraid of. And also to say sorry for the things we've messed up and change our behavior. So Genesis ends this week. And we have all these people whom we could emulate. So I wanted to offer you tonight Judah, who's sort of the more obvious one. We are named Yehudim for Yehudah, right? We are carriers, literally, of Judah's name. But I want to stick Sarah along on the journey with you, because nobody's going to name anything for a woman in our tradition at the time that names came to be. But I want you to imagine that we might be accompanied on our journeys by Judah and by Sarah, by somebody who is brave, who helps us see that being brave means to mess up and fix it and keep going, by Sarah, who holds timeless, wonderful truths and finds way to teach in places where her voices or our voices might not always have been welcomed, and to figure out how we can be the people of Yehudim, right, of Judah, the Jews who carry his name, and to look for Sarah, who's like maybe still hanging out in our walls, right? And listening for the voices that can help us to grow. We are going to leave our ancestral patriarchs until next year, this Shabbat. But we never leave them, right? Because they're always with us in name and in story. And if you'd like to learn more about Sarah another time, there's more where that came from. In the middle of page 371, we offer our prayer for healing. And I'll add that this week is one of the times during the year where we have remembered Debbie Friedman, who, depending on how you observe her yard site, died, I think, 14 years ago. She was kind of like a Serach for our Judaism. She wrote so much of the music that we sing, including this Misha Berach, but more than that, she completely cracked open the way that we experience liturgy and worship and relationships. And maybe we hear in her voice and in her music the continuity of that tradition that Serach Bat Asher started for us. We are in the middle of the page, and in the middle of the prayer, you'll have the opportunity to share the names of anyone you are praying for this Shabbat. Like to offer the name of anyone whose healing of body or of spirit you are praying for this Shabbat, I invite you to do so now. 586, the lower half of the page. Please rise. Alleluia, Shabbat, Ladon, Hakol, Latek, Glaliot, Ser, Breshit, Shelo, Asanu, Kevei, Haratzot, Velo, Salonu, Kemishpachot Ha'adama, Shelo, Samchelchenu, Kahem, Begor Aleinu, Kechol Hamonam, V'anachnu korim, U'mishtachavim, U'modim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 591 in the middle of the page. Please be seated. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad u'shemo echad u'shemo echad. So just one more bit of Torah before we head into Mourner's Kaddish. Joseph is told that his father, Jacob, is about to die in our Torah portion this week, as you now know. And the Torah says, sometime afterward, Joseph was told, "Your father is ill." So Joseph took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim, and he went to his father. And from here we know that Manasseh and Ephraim received blessings from their grandfather Jacob, which is complicated and an interesting study in and of itself. But I think we have the opposite reaction sometimes in our world, right? To hear somebody's dying and then to grab our children and take them with us to the bedside, or even for ourselves to rush to the bedside of somebody who is dying. That death is something that we fear, or that we stay away from, or that we think is not for closeness. And in our Torah portion this week, we see the most intimate moments between parents and children, and parents and grandchildren at bedsides of the dying. And I want to just invite you to perhaps shift the way we think about those moments differently, to be a little bit like our ancestral parents here, and to lean into these moments that offer intimate blessing and knowing and presence and gift, both for the living and for the dead, rather than the sterile fear we sometimes naturally first feel when we hear about something like this. And to be open to the gifts that can come when the situations are right, and I know that they aren't always. To take our children when we can, to take ourselves and our partners and our broken-hearted presences to the people we love, to be able to say goodbye, to offer them words of blessing, and to ourselves receive their presence and their blessing in that way. And in that spirit, to imagine as we remember those who you remember this Shabbat, if you're observing a yard site, or if you are in a more recent period of mourning, to imagine the blessings that you gave and received, perhaps at bedsides, most certainly in the life that you shared together. In our community this week, we remember Lena Aronson, Cyril Barnert, Warren G. Bauer, Sarah Lynn P. Bronfin. I'm going to come back to Sam. We'll see if Carol gets back. Benjamin Cohn, David Kurland, Murray Ellman, Eva Freeman, Ernestine Friedman, Jack J. Frischman. I know you're here. There you are, right in front of me. James Gendomenico, Meyer P. Gross, Philip Hoffman, Kalman Holstein, Teresa Kaplan, Rose Jacobson, Martin Howard Creston, Lillian Kulik, Jeanette W. Levine, Frank Levitt, Montana Levy, Anna Lynn Cohn, Ray DeHaan Michaels, Gay Diane Naraff, Richard Nashel, Ken Newman, Tzvi Odense, Abram Paris, Robert Reistetter, Fanny Rothschild, Edith Fritzie Rund, Erwin Shapiro, Emmanuel Shavik, Violet Wilczek, and Mark Zavist, and our beloved Sam Cassell. During this period of Shloshim, we remember Myra Joan Silverman, Janice E. Ryder, and Judith Becker. We send our love as we offer Kaddish this week with Rolf and Sue and Danny and Jacob as we remember Ingrid Klein. And we remember Stuart Herman, who has lots of titles of belovedness in our congregation. Stuart was Lisa Kessler's father and Meredith Smiley's grandfather and Kenneth Herman's brother, all members of our congregation. And we send our love to Lisa and Jeff, to Meredith and Sean, to David and Tama Kessler, to Ivy and Vincent, and to Ken and to Benita. If there are others you are remembering on this Shabbat and I didn't say their name and you would like to, I invite you to do so now.
James Gendomenico.
If you are observing a yahrzeit this Shabbat, or if you are remembering somebody who has died in more recent days, I invite you to rise first. To you we say, Zichronam livracha, may the memories of your beloveds continue to become blessings as you weave their legacies into the ways that you live. And we rise together as one community on page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon, uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mibarach le'alam u'lalmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, V'yit hadar, v'yit aleh, v'yit halal, shemei d'kudisha barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, d'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, Ve'imru, amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all people everywhere. We say together, amen. Very briefly, announcements. Obviously, we'll be here, many of us, tomorrow morning at 10:30 to celebrate our Shabbat morning service and the bat mitzvah of Abby Gerber. Also, there is Torah study tomorrow morning at 9:30 upstairs. Rosh Chodesh is back on Sunday, so at Sarah Loesch's home in Wyckoff, if you are not signed up and you would like to be, we can get you that information. February 1st and 21st, Rabbi Joel Safin will be joining us for a really special, cool Torah study. So more information will be coming out with the topics he's going to be teaching about, but those are Saturday mornings to note. And in between then, his oldest grandson's going to become bar mitzvah, so lots of Safin celebrations here. And I'll note also that our winter adult study course called Sinai and Synapses will begin on February 9th. It's a 4-session adult ed course with Rabbi Jeff Middleman, who's going to be teaching about the intersection of religion and science. And he is both a scientist and a rabbi, and he's very smart and very interesting and quirky and cool, and it should be a great 4-session class. So he'll be here in person for that. And I already told you, February 7th, Shabbat Shira, Nefesh Mountain. It's going to be great. So it's very cool, and you should join us for that. And how about a little motzi, which is the thing I almost always forget at this part of the service.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, Shabbat shalom. To Harvey and Bob and Charlie and Bob and Larry and Janet and Marina. Shabbat Shalom.
Okay? Yeah.